Hey, people. Oh, Turtle come back by again. I guess it's on a 2-day cycle. Comes by and sees me every 2 days now. Come right up on the porch this time and stood by the refrigerator so he knows where I'm getting the food from. So Darren Christopher says, oh, hell yeah, I'm getting it. Said this reading Hebrew is my superpower. And that's what it is. If you can read it, you're God's chosen people. So I'm going to get back on the Hebrew, but I'm going to make another here in this Greek. In everybody's favorite subject, I know it is, because it was mine. It was one of the things I was most interested in when I started reading Genesis 3. What the hell was this tree of life and this tree of evil? And so here's another good trick to reading this. This is the story of Eve in the Garden of Eden. And we found out just recently that it's better pronounced as the Garden of Heathen, or the Garden of Epicurus, to give everything a lick, or the Garden of Pagan. That's one of the words you see most come up in here. But this trick is, this Genesis 3, you already heard the stories about what they say it's about. And just go ahead and keep that in your mind and go down to the last line. Sometimes it's the last couple lines, when the Lord sets judgment, when the finishes it all in. And just read that last line before you go up and read the rest of it. It gives you a better idea on how to read some of those words above. And I make the challenge all the time in that Hebrew. I tell you that can't nobody read it. There ain't no rabbis can read ancient Hebrew. There ain't no Jews can read ancient Hebrew. And the same to this Greek. There's probably a few more people that could read this, but they won't show their face. Bring them on. You can't bring them on because they won't show the face. Because if your priest or your rabbi ever does learn how to read the ancient Hebrew or the Greek, the good chances are he's going to kill himself. He can't show his face. And then the rest of them, they go on, they learn the tricks, and they swindle even more people. That's them big super churches. Because that's what this is about. It's a book on how to swindle people. So this here is a story written by Thought. And it is because all his characters are in the story. This is all Thought's characters. This is the first one, is Amen and Annette. And she's a Apada. She's a serpent. And she's the Apada Annette. And if you touch her, you will die. That's Apada, no feet, and Annette. So Adam was the first wife of Ameni, and it means the past. Ameni had him. And the present is on it, and Ameni on it. This is his new wife, the new young, slinkier model. So if Ameni's on it, don't you touch her or you shall die. And Ameni had him from my ex-wife, that's free game. And so Hoodum haps it. Have to why name. Have to learn her name. You shall die. Don't even ask her. Don't even ask her why, how, what is your name? I will kill you. And so Annette, that's the present, and Adam was the past, and the future is Gina, the Gina, and that's something that's gonna happen because you study the past. It's gonna happen. She's gonna yak O's. And so I learned a whole bunch of Latin animal classifications in this. But the story is, the woman and the serpent are in the garden under the tree. And the serpent talks the woman into taking a bite. And then she brings some to Adam and he takes a bite. They both open their eyes and see they're naked. And then God catches them. And all three of them got the red face. That's what Adam means, is, he done been had. You caught. He's red faced. He's embarrassed. The serpent and Gina are both embarrassed. They're red. It's easy to tell what they've been doing. And Adam's making excuses. It was the woman, the one that you gave me. And so when it comes down, to casting the judgment, And so it starts with the and here, so he's taking a breath and finishing his sentence, And it's the bail it on Haddam. What you're gonna pay, and it's the bail it on Haddam to cat to kissin' oughtn't. And so that's what he was charged, settled him, and you were found guilty of the cat of kissin' oughtn't. Oughtn't, ancient god of law in Egypt, what you oughtn't do. And according to according to the kissin' oughtn't, you shouldn't have been kissing offendant, the defendant, the offend, was the knife in Egypt, the offend and the offendant. The fennant it of, for a day is of, and a parade is for a day. Always for somebody's day is of, for a day is of. And this troops, troops means to come together. Then it's also redneck, the truth, truths is truths. And this come together, troops, called troops, come here. And attach to the share of inum, the share of, and in, the share of inum. What in flogging rumpage on, what in flogging on a rumpage on, then strip 'em of in, on full ass seeing, on full ass and seeing. Then adon to the Zulu, this so is. And this is in adon to what's, so the what's will of this so is. Whoever says, the one who has the will of, and what's will of this says so is. And so this tree is the same word for the cross, the Zulu. And so it's talking about appease. Appease was the first one, the bull that you were left to appease. And so in its the bail it on Haddam, a cat to kissin', according to kissin' oughtn't, offendant, the one that you offended, according to the kissin' oughtn't offend, the fennit of, for a day is of. And so for are far a days, forever is of. Far a day is of this, and for herever after, troops come together and attach it to the share of inum. That's a plow. The share of inum is your piece of area you have to plow. It's a measurement of work and how much a day is of the share of inum. How many rows to cut the earth, the share of inum. What on flogging the rumpage on. The Chinese story is a little different. God sent the cow down to tell the people if they work hard, he could provide them with a meal every 3 days. And the cow mistaken, and he told the people, if you work hard, God promised you 3 meals a day. And the cow went back to heaven, and God told the cow, no, they think that's my mistake. You go down there and help the people. And so the cow was then married to the plow and was flogged 4 days of. It's the plowshare. It's ancient slang for hitting that ass. So it's the bail to get out of trouble, or it's where your word civil comes from, in the judgment. And it's the bail it on, but it's also the ballet it on. It's the dance of the stars. And Haddam, according to according to Akata kissin' oughtn't. And so this is where your word catechism comes from. That's that thing that 13-year-old Catholic kids go through, the catechism. And the catechism oughtn't. if you go and read the line above, it gives you a better idea of what all that means. So that ejected oughtn't is wets. This is a key reading as a vav, W-W-E-T-S, the wets. And wets epistyle in, and wets a feminine part of the flower, epistyle in oughtn't, and shouldn't. And to carry as oath, to carry as oath, a sect, a private bloodline, a sect of. The parodies of this truths, the parodies of this gathers are truth. The truth is, urges the cestage, urges the cestage. Truth is, pushes the cestage. And the tinge, the stain, the color, all comes from the earth. The tinge on, excess, and too much. And the stain on too much, the left. They tell you taken is the ones that are going with the Lord, the taken. No, the taken is the left. This is what's left when you mix the what you oughtn't of naughtn't. And that's what happened to oughtn't naughtn't. You got a big ass head, and this is the 20 commandments. And you just, pick a letter of the alphabet and put a number on it, and when you get down there to the 19th commandment, you're down there in the fucking oughtn't, what you fucking oughtn't have did, because your head will blow up and all your children's. And you wets a pistol in oughtn't. The curious want to see, the O's, the O's. She hollers, the curious oath of those. The sect too, in that sect of the parodies of this truths. It urges cestage, the tinging excess, the left, what is left. And it's a ball it on had 'em, and it was a blast. And caught to kissin' oughtn't, offended it too, far a days of this. Be in the bloodline forever, the far a days of this. And troops and comes together, and attached to the share of 'em, and attached to the share of in 'em. What in floggin' on rumpage on, then strip 'em in on flassian, flassy, flossy, the pull ass in, so that was the guard. They were all dressed up in, and strip 'em of his flossian. Then adorn to the cross this so is. Put 'em on the cross. That's the base word, Zulon, Zulu. A piece of wood, anything made of a piece of wood. Staves, clubs, a tree, or by hang him on the cross, the Zulon, put him on the cross. In Acts 5:30, the God of the fathers of us raised up Jesus, whom you've killed, having hanged him on a Zulu. And they changed it to tree here. But this NAS version calls it a cross. And that's what it is. It's up on the tree. You sit on top of a boat where they hang flags to talk. Hang it on the tree. So it's saying, to take all the floss from the bull and attach him to the plow with a cross. And so somebody didn't want you to know what the Zulu was because it was right here. And you could tell, see there's two cows pulling this plow. So in between them you have a cross, strung up on the cross. Sometimes you got 4 horses and sometimes you got 6 horses. So when you're strung up on the cross, it's to what's will of this so is. You're gonna do what you're told. When you're all tied up, you really ain't got no say so. You're gonna get your rumpage beat on. You can't do nothing about it because your arms are tied up on this cross. And so that's the way of life. strung up on the cross and beat into submission, the way of cross of life. But what this actually means, this is a little mark that you see in text. You still see it if you look at some older books. And it means the soul, it's soul of. And it means it's under of, the soul of. So the little cross has got three meanings. But one of them is this note right here. You see it in all these old books. And what it means is, check the footnotes. And its representation was actually this dagger here. You know, and it means the cut. And it was the footnotes that had been cut off the book to get to the whole picture, you know, see Zulu, what's under of this so is. So if you were Dutch, you know, that still means the will. You know, the zal is the will. You know, the way of the will of this so is. And so I'm sure that evolved from, you know, the what's. They didn't want to let you know that the words are split up here. The what's will of. Because these 5 letters were represented by one simple symbol. It was a cross. You can see it in this word soul, S-U-L. The direction to the right of a person facing the rising sun. The soul, the south, underneath. The soul of, under of. And in the Old English, the soul, they say, is the plow or a measure of land. Your soul of, so is. And some will say it comes from soulless, you know, single, the one. And some will say it's the soul is the sun. And some say it comes from the Latin sub, under, and sublime. So it looked like at the beginning it was all one language, and that was during the language change. You know, everybody knew what the line's meaning, and they created different language and give all the words a different meaning. And so this word of life, it'll give us a better idea. The soul of this so is. But this movie's getting too long. But in the next movie, we'll go on up here a little bit and see why Adam named the life and the real reason that he called her so. I'm going to cut this off here. Good day.